The coronavirus pandemic has focused New York's attention on a sad and generally overlooked spot that seems like it's from another era. With Erin Moriarty, we travel to Hart Island.
On a deeply cold Saturday morning in January, we took a nearly empty ferry to a speck of land in the Long Island Sound. For most souls who go there, it's a one-way trip. Hart Island is where the city of New York buries the unknown, the unclaimed, or those too poor to afford a burial. At 101 acres, it's the largest potter's field in the country.
We're going today because it was her birthday, and I'm commemorating her 42nd birthday.
We went with Elaine Joseph, whose infant daughter Tamika is among the 1 million people buried here. No cameras or cell phones are allowed.
There are no markers. There's a mass grave. You just know there's bodies buried there because they told us so.
But you go.
I go because it's all I have. It's all I have left. I bring a little stuffed animal.
In January 1978, Elaine was a 23-year-old nurse, pregnant and living with her boyfriend, when she unexpectedly went into labor and gave birth a month early.
It was my first child, and I was happy to be having her.
Days later, she says, her daughter needed emergency surgery for a heart deformity. New York City was in the middle of a crippling snowstorm.
I couldn't get to the hospital. There were no trains, there were no buses, there was no public transportation.
Elaine was home when she got the news.
And they said she had another cardiac arrest and she died.
You had to hear that on the phone.
Yes, I couldn't be there. That's one of my main regrets, is that I was not there at the hospital with her. Excuse me. It's 41 years, but it never goes away.
When Elaine did get to the hospital to claim the body of her baby girl,
they said she was already buried. I'm like, buried? How? They said that I signed to have her buried in the city cemetery.
Did anyone mention Hart Island to you at that point?
I never heard the term Hart Island ever in my life.
Until recently, most people had never heard of Hart Island, although it's been a part of New York since 1868, when officials paid $75,000, or more than $1 million in today's money, to make it a city cemetery. And it might have remained out of view, if not for COVID-19 and these shocking aerial photos showing the devastation of a pandemic on those without resources. In the last month, New York went from burying 25 bodies a week to 5 times as many.
It's always existed on the margins of the city, and it's been the place where we have buried those who were marginalized in life for generations.
What makes Hart Island so unusual, says New York City Councilman Mark Levine, is that for much of its history, it's been run by the Department of Correction, using inmate labor.
And it's almost out of a Dickens novel that it's inmates from Rikers Island who are responsible for burials there.
Victims of various pandemics, tuberculosis, the Spanish flu, and AIDS have been buried in secrecy and sometimes in shame.
I would take the wax crayon, write the name of the deceased, their last name in big letters on the side of the box.
Until his release from jail in February, Vincent Migalone placed pine boxes in mass graves on Hart Island. And what do you know about these people other than their names and the day they died?
That's pretty much all we know. But you always wonder, these are fellow New Yorkers. Is this somebody who served us coffee? Was this somebody who tailored our clothes, did our laundry?
The city refused to release the names until Melinda Hunt, a visual artist, sued to obtain them.
So all of a sudden, in 2008, I had 50,000 burial records.
Melinda Hunt created the Hart Island Project, an online memorial.
The whole point of a cemetery is storytelling. The city had no reason to deny families this information. And there were so many families.
And that's how, in 2009, Elaine Joseph finally discovered where her infant daughter was buried, 31 years after she died.
It's not only my daughter that's buried there, it's all these others. Everybody belonged to somebody. Everybody had a mom, had a dad, had somebody. And many of them, families don't even know they're there.
Visitation to Hart Island is very limited. Joseph had to schedule this birthday celebration months in advance. She left a toy for her daughter, while a correction officer took Polaroids to mark the occasion.
I could accept that she died. That I can accept. What I couldn't accept is that I lost track of where her body went and how she was treated after death.
That final resting place has never been as dignified as it should have been. It's never gotten the respect it needed, and that certainly needs to change.
Last December, the New York City Council transferred control of Hart Island to the Parks Department. Earlier this month, inmates were replaced by paid landscape workers. Many are hopeful that next year, Hart Island will be open as a memorial park, honoring those buried there.
Everybody's human. We're all human. Maybe we don't all have money. We all deserve dignity.